Now, it's the beginning of the month of Shvat, and this is really the zodiac of Aquarius, from Jewish point of view, definitely. And therefore, I got to speak with you about this month, based on my book, as you can see above the zodiac, Astrology in Jewish Light. As I said, this book really changed people. Never knew that Judaism really goes with astrology, the book of formation related to Abraham. It's really the basis of it. I told the story about Sidney Omar, very famous astrologist, wrote in New York Times, in the column there. He was this one who told Kennedy, don't go to Dallas, they're going to kill you there, very famous one. He passed away a few years ago, but 2 years before he passed away, he saw my book. How he saw my book? I told the story, amazing story. I gave a lecture in Los Angeles. A lady who was Balat Shuba, she became religious. She bought my book above the Zodiac, and she happened to live in the same building of Sidney Omar, this great astrologist, and she showed him the book. She said, look, the Jews also believe in astrology. Look how much to do with really Hebrew letters and the Torah, Talmud. So he told her, what? He told me nonsense. All the rabbis told me there's nothing in it, don't deal with astrology. Okay, good. She said, look the book, take the book. He took the book. I think in 2-3 minutes she told me, say to her, this rabbi changed all my life. I said, what happened? So I tell you the truth, secret nobody knew. I'm Jewish. My real name is Zodiac Himmelman, and studying in a Hebrew school, which is called really Cheder in Poland, and I know all alphabet, but when I felt inner drawing to astrology, so as the Rebbe said, don't leave it away, not for Jews. Okay, so he was so cross with Judaism, he said, if Jews don't believe in astrology, I have nothing to do. My name is no more Zodiac Kimmelman, but Sidney Omar, nice name, look like Persian. And in fact, all over the world, people really ask him questions and so on. It's very famous. One can see it in the internet. Now he passed away in the internet. He's not more Sidney Omar, but he tells his story, the Kimmelman from Poland and so on. So he died and buried as a Jew. If not me, who knows? Nobody will know. Will be like a Gentile, So, no doubt, this was the book which changed him. He told me, really, that this is a book which he wants just to know about, and he asked me to come to his building in Santa Monica. He will invite people from Hollywood, his friends, some writers, and I want them, he said, to see what is Jewish astrology. So this is what he said, I will make you glad kosher. So this was happened. He invited his friend from Hollywood, some actors, film producers, and he told them, I'm so happy to be a Jew. Look how Jews look at astrology, the Hebrew letters. And in fact, he said to them that if you understand the meaning of a letter in Hebrew, you know what is a star is. Like interesting examples, there are many, but for example, as if you followed my lecture from before, I spoke about the creation of the world with Hebrew letters. Bereshit bara Elokim et. In the beginning, God created the world with Aleph, Taf, with Alpha until Taf. Then Hebrew letters, and then also I gave a lecture about this. You can see the 22 letters were really the foundation of the world, and each letter with another zodiac, with another element, with another planet, and everything worked beautifully. Like there are 22 letters, from there three important ones, which Aleph, Mem, and Shin. Aleph was the letter of the air, the element of air, and Mem was the element of Maim, of water, and Shin, Esh. And then there are 7 letters in Hebrew which have dot in them, Dagesh, yeah? And those are the Beged and Kaporet. The Reish also have in Tanakh. Beged and Kaporet, by the way, the meaning also cover, cloth and cover. And this is exactly what are those planets. Then the letter is left after we use 3 for the elements for the zodiac, and 7 for the planets that we can see. By the way, now there are 10, right? But we can see only 7, Shabtai, and so on. And then the letters we were left were 12, yeah? 22, that's 12. We have less 10, we have 12. So every letter is another zodiac, another month. And we see just and we discuss what is the letter of this month. And definitely very interesting ideas which are connected with this month. As we see, one of the rabbis, Issachar, says that this is really the month of Jews. He brought in the Issachar, he said, according to ancient astrologists, this is the month of the Jews. And we see just now really why this month has to do so much with Judaism. So let us start now. As always, we start with the description of the month according to the book of creation related to Abraham. Very famous book, yeah. And this is really what is written there, that it was created with the letter Tzadik. Its sign is the Aquarius, that bucket with the water in it. Drawing from it this bucket with the water. The element is air, the planet Saturn, and the letter with which it was created was Tzadik. And we see just now also why all this fits with this month. And as I said, according to Issachar, I think Yalkut Rebbeinu also, I think also they said this is a month of Jews, right? Yes. So the first thing, one should know that all this process, the process of the month has meaning. And this is right. The Midrash says all those 12 months are representing really the process of the building up of a man from the beginning and to the end. Very interesting. Midrash in Tanchuma speaks about this. But according to this Midrash, the process of unfolding the purity of the soul continues during the days of the sign of Aquarius. Very interesting, the process of purity, as we believe, that is what we should do, purify ourselves, our soul, the person of a man. So, this is in Medrash Tanchuma, we said in Azina. Azina is the last, from the last portions in Deuteronomy. And this is definitely following the suffering of the soul during the time of Capricorn. Very interesting. Capricorn and Aquarius go together. I mean, really, Capricorn is kind of preparation for Aquarius. And we see it just in a beautiful way. Now, what is normally, we speak about purification, so you know, the purification occurs by one's immersion into the water of the oral Torah. We know that the Torah is compared to water. As a very famous verse in Isaiah says, Oi kol samoy, anybody who is thirsty, chulamayim, go to water. And Hassal said, we speak about somebody who is thirsty to learn. And then the idea for him is go to the water of the Torah will purify you, will clean you, will clean your soul. So Why? Because simple, for the roots of this tradition are found in Moshe Rabbeinu, review of the Torah, which began on the first Shvat. It is known, anybody who knows about the Old Testament, the book of Deuteronomy says that Moses started saying the words of Deuteronomy on the first on Shvat. Up till his death, 7th of Adar, in 37 days, he said what we know is Deuteronomy, Mishneh Torah. Mishneh Torah means really is like repetition of the Torah, which, as it is known, Deuteronomy Moses said himself, definitely according to what God said, while the others were directly from God. And definitely the idea that man somehow is involved in Torah is called the Oral Torah, Torah Sheba'al Peh. And this is really the beginning of it, and it was in month of Shvat. So again, you can see clearly the connection between water, Torah, and this month, and Moshe Rabbeinu, review of the Torah, which began on the first of Shvat, as we said. Now, the letter Tzadi, in Hebrew you say Tzadi, you don't say Tzadi, but you don't say Tzadik, some say Tzadik, but Tzadik, without the kof. Very deep idea behind, I wrote in my book about the letters of fire, about the meaning of each letter. But simple Tzadim means, Tzadik means righteous. And there is a very interesting verse in Proverbs 13, chapter 13, verse 25, צדיק אוכל לשובע נפשו ובטן רשעים תחסר, which means tzaddik eats for his satisfaction, the righteous one eats to the satisfaction of his body, but the belly of the wicked always feels empty, always wants to eat more. So this is interesting idea. This month is a month of eating, in Tu B'Shvat, we eat a lot of foods, 15 kinds, some even eat more than this. The idea of eating in the right way, blessings, and according to Kabbalah, by eating properly, it means making blessings before and so on. So we are like bringing sparks out of it. They have to do with Kabbalah, but eating, very, very important. And this is really exactly what the verse says, Tzaddik ochel lesova shavto. The righteous one is for his satisfaction, not more. Yeah, what his nefesh, what his soul requires, not more. So this is a connection between this letter Tzaddik, from Tzaddik, righteous one, and this month. And one of the things which really characterizes the righteous is eating, right? Now there is a book, a very interesting book, in Hebrew, I think in English also now, since it's translated, part of it, so on. It's called Bnei Saschar. And this book, in the discourse on the month of Shvat, it says very interesting idea. It says that according to astrology, it's time, the Aquarius is a sign of the Jewish people. Interesting. Why? Why to do with Aquarius, Jews? So he says something very interesting. For all the Israelis above the constellations, and through prayers and good words can obtain their true desire, regardless of the determination of the constellation, their natural manifestation, it means their natural manifestation, it means their character really has to do with the constellation, naturally, yeah? Because this is really what your astrology sign showed, as we saw, like, speak about Tzaddik, yeah? So what is the character of a Tzaddik? We said, the righteous one, doing the right ways, the right things. And there is a verse about Israel, we said, עמך כולם צדיקים, your people, your people is the Jewish people, כולם צדיקים, all are righteous, and they will inherit the land, they will inherit Israel. They will inherit Israel, definitely when they will keep the Torah, mitzadikim. But if not, you see the problems not to inherit the whole land. So it's amazing to see this connection of this month to righteousness. Then, what is also interesting when looking into this sign, which is Aquarius, and from the other side, what is Capricorn. So it's very interesting idea connecting this one. Because the idea of Capricorn, as we spoke about it, I think, really, as if you remember, the foundation of it, or better to say, is the element, is earth. Earth is very practically things, doing things really in the right way, practically. While, as we said, when you see it, that the month of Shvat is much more spiritual one. This is the element of air. Air represents definitely wisdom, spiritual things to do with the air, with the neshama. So Capricorn really is basis of this month. Very interesting. Goes together. And you can see it also that according to astrology, both of them, it means Capricorn, Teves, and Shvat, are ruled by the planet Saturn. Interesting. Both of them. Now, what is Saturn and what it represents? So, it is also interesting because the idea of this heavenly body, which influenced, as we said, Aquarius and Capricorn, which is in Hebrew Shabtai, by the way, Shabbat, Saturday, is under the influence of Saturn. By the way, it's important to tell people, they don't know really, maybe some know, why Sunday is called Sunday, to do with the sun, and why Monday is called Monday, to do with the moon. Okay, Tuesday, Wednesday, the English people took those Roman values. Okay, Thursday they came back to another way. It is, as we see that in other languages goes, but Thursday, Friday, not to do clearly with the planets, but Saturday to do with Saturn and all that. But in other languages, which were before the English, like French, Spanish, is every day really is to connected with planet. Like in friendship, you know, you have Thursday, Dominion, then you have Luna, Lundberg, then you have the other days, yeah, Mardi, Jerdi, Mercredi, all those are names of the planets, yeah. Like Sunday in English, Dominion, and Luna, in Spanish the same thing really also. Luna, Mardi, to do the Mars, Luna with the moon, then Mercredi with Mercury, Jerdi with Jupiter, Rambadi with Venus, and Sabbath, to do with Sabbath, right? Now, the connection is very interesting. As our rabbis tell us, there is a lot spoken on Kabbalah, on astrology in the tractate Talmud Shabbat, 156. And there is written, which is a fact of in astrology, that every hour is ruled by another planet. And the order is Shabtai, so in Hebrew you have abbreviation, Shasam Chankar. In the order is Saturn, the first one, then comes Jupiter, Tzedek, then Mars, Ma'adim, then comes the Sun, Hama, then Venus, Mercury, Luna, the Moon. So there is an order for this. And every hour is ruled by another with this order. So then we're not going to it now, but in the book, I brought exactly how it works. According to this comes out, and we believe also, by the way, it is clear proof to the creation of the world, as the Torah tells us, that the constellations, the stars, were created on Wednesday. Now, Wednesday starts in Judaism from the evening, by Erev, by Boker. So, 6 o'clock on Wednesday, what was the star? Mercury. So, if you start from 6 o'clock in the evening, and you count every hour according to this order, Shasam Chalkat, you will come that Wednesday was the star, was Mercury. This is why it's called Mercury. If you go the same way, you come to Thursday, which is Jupiter. If you carry on the same way, you come to Friday, which is Venus. This is Wednesday. When you come 6 o'clock in the morning, Shabbos, Saturday, Saturn. Very interesting. And the name of the day is according to the planet who is ruling the first hour. No? The whole day depends on the beginning, you see. And this is exactly the idea. So, Shabbos, Saturday. Now, it's a great question, which really everyone should ask. We believe in the Old Testament. Everyone believes in the Old Testament. No, in the Old Testament, clearly written that God rested on the seventh day of creation, Shabbos. So why the Christian took Sunday and the Arabs took Friday, and the Sabbath they left all the Jews? So the Rebbe said, I'm not an Rebbe, he said, amazing idea. He said, at the beginning, really, everyone started to keep Shabbos, but they didn't feel well. They felt something wrong, depression. They did not feel well because the Shabtai, Saturn, not such a good star. Yeah? And they said, no. So the Christians said, no, Sunday better for us. And the Arabs, who have many wives, they said Venus is better for us Friday. Yeah. Because otherwise the question, what is going on? You believe in the Old Testament, the reason God created, so right? This is the explanation. So really Saturday, for people secular who don't keep really, is not so, don't feel so well. So therefore the Saturday they need to go out, for walks to the sea. Yeah, in Israel, these secular people, they want very much to dedicate the Shabbos to be able to go to the sea and to enjoy themselves. Right? No, you don't keep Shabbat. Jews who are really keeping Torah, the opposite. On Shabbos is full of enjoyment and happiness and joy. Why? Because they are above the Zodiac. It's one of the proofs that Jews are above the Zodiac. That in times that normally in the mundane, people don't feel so well. And for Jews it is Honeg Shabbat, enjoying of Shabbat, Simcha, happiness and joy. So, very, very interesting about this. Now, more about this heavenly body that influences Aquarius Saturn. It also influences the sign of Capricorn, we say. And this really indicates it's being a time for contemplation. But for Saturn, excels in the influence on understanding, and thus it is conducive for an impartial view of one's life and repentance from the depths of one's heart. So it is very interesting. From this point of view, this is really why Shabbat is a day of repentance. Even written in the letters, Shabbat is like Tshuva. Shabbos is the day really of contemplation, about really thinking, understanding things properly. And even all this idea depends on deep self-understanding and refraining from repeating one's mistakes. So, as I said, this was Saturday. For Jews, it's time of learning Torah, is to learn Torah, and really to try to understand things properly. But from the other side, from the mundane, secular, it's a difficult time really. Also, as I said, that will bring it very interesting idea about this month is a month of renewal. And it is so interesting how Judaism, in Jewish astrology and secular astrology fit in this idea, because according to astrology, people were born under this sign, they very much are eager, thirsty from learning. They want to find new things, new ideas. Amazing. This really to do what we said before, because water, they want to draw more water, to more looking into wisdom, what is behind. And it is interesting that really the books of astrology, when they bring example of people who were born on this month, Aquarius, they bring Galileo, Copernicus, definitely clearly fit with this idea. But from the other side, this is from like secular point of view, and people who want to learn, as we said, inventors, a lot of inventors have to do, very original, interesting people under this sign. And in Judaism, this is a time of learning. You have to find ideas in the Torah. And this is exactly what we said. Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu, started the Torah, Mishneh Torah, which is really, as we said, the Deuteronomy. Dew is like the Mishneh, the two. Deuteronomy, the second, like, petition of the Torah. This is also, he started on the first day of Shvat, because this is a time, the fixed time, that people will see what is behind the Torah, and in a deeper way, as Moses explained to them. So it goes together in this way. Now, also, what is, as we said, very, very important, the letter Tzadik. So Tzadik simple means righteousness, or righteous person, Tzadik. But as I brought in my book, Letters of Fire, and other books of mine, very important principle. This is what you have only in Hebrew letters, not in other letters. In Hebrew letters, almost every letter is composed of 2 or 3 other letters. If you take the letter Aleph, look at Aleph, you have 3 letters, Yud on top, Yud on the bottom, Vav in the middle. Also, it is numerical value, was 26. God, Aluf, God is the Aluf of the world. So every letter, if you take the letter Shin, you have 3, also representing important idea of the number 3. The letter Tzadik, if you know, in Hebrew, is based on 2 letters, Yud on top, and the basis is letter Nun. Yeah, letter Nun. Now, these 2 letters represent, according to Kabbalah, wisdom and understanding. Yud represent wisdom, Chokhmah, Yud Ke Vav Ke. Yud of God name represent wisdom. Hey represent 5, represent understanding, and the full understanding is 10 times 5, which is 50, which is the numerical value of Nun, Gematria of Nun. And this is the basis of the letter Nun. So basically, Nun is a letter which have in it wisdom and understanding. Exactly fits with the idea. This is a month of learning Chokhmah and understanding it properly. Very interesting that great rabbis who are very sensitive soul say that when they study Torah and ideas come to them, it is completely different from other time. Amazing. They can feel that this is a month that deep idea, new ideas coming out. Interesting. So, something more, another aspect of the letter tzaddik, which really represents the wisdom and understanding, which is connected with this month. Now Moses, also, as we said, is connected to this month. And the Bnei Sachar says beautiful idea how it comes out from the numerical value of the letters Gematria, of the letter Shvat and Moshe. So we know that in the Torah, the name of Moshe, it means the description of Moshe is Ish, man. Yeah, it is a Ish, a man. He is a man. It is a name that appears in Torah for Moshe a few times. Also is a name for a tzaddik, of a righteous person. And the numerical of it come to the same numerical value, the Gematria of Shvat. Yeah, like Ish is Aleph is 1, Yud is 10, Shin is 300. And Moshe, Mem is 40, and Shin, and Ish, as we said just now, is the same numerical of Shvat. Shvat is Shin 300, Bet is 2, and Tet comes out to 311. So it means altogether, it's very interesting to see the connection of this man to Moses. Moses who taught the Torah. Yeah, who taught the Torah. And exactly this is why this man is connected with him. Now, according to astrology, this is very interesting, as we said before. According to astrology, those born under the influence of Aquarius, they reveal a talent for originality, very original people, and possess inquisitiveness that knows no bounds. Many natural scientists, such as Copernicus and Galileo, were Aquarius. You see, very interesting. As we mentioned before, now the connection of filling oneself with the waters of Torah that this sign contains came to expression in the history of the Jewish people. This is particularly true of the oral tradition. Yeah, as we said, also Deuteronomy already is more oral because man is involved, Moshe Rabbeinu. So the main attributes of the oral tradition are symbolized in the letters of the month. This is what I said, really, the tzaddik, whose form consists of the combination of the letters Yud and Nun, symbolizing wisdom and understanding. This really, Pri Tzaddik said, Zodiac Aquarious said. As we know, the Yud and the Nun also symbolize, this is very interesting, the essential unity of the written oral tradition. For the Yud symbolizes wisdom, as we said, stand for the written Torah, and the Nun symbolizes understanding, stand for the oral Torah. So exactly, directly connected with these months. You know already that wisdom and understanding always operate together, and the idea is also symbolized by the fact that the early beginnings of renewal of growth in trees is displayed during the months of Shvat. Very interesting that Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch says there is clear parallelism between nature and spiritual things. Like when you have the spring, the beginning of the cycle of the zodiacs, in the beginning, spring, this was the time that Israel came out, yeah? Nisan, Pesach, this is the time that Jewish people came out, yeah? It's a nation. And so he said, like, Tu B'Shvat is a time when the trees definitely are growing nicely. This is the time of, this way really it's called Rosh Hashanah La'inalot, because this is a renewal of growth in the trees, yeah. And the idea is definitely that the same thing in the Torah. This like Moses started the Torah, yeah, which definitely this is part of building up also the Jewish nation. As it is known, the tree symbolizes the written Torah, and its fruit symbolizes oral tradition, which draws its sustenance from the written Torah. As the fruit draws sustenance from the tree. So, therefore, we find also the Torah, Ki Adam Etz HaSadeh, because Ilan represents the man also, growing fruits, and everything through the water of the Torah. Like, you know that the tree will grow nicely and the fruits will grow nicely. You need water. Something for the man to grow, he needs water. And this month is a month of water, Aquarius, yeah. So, as also, we can find very interesting thing in it. You can find a clear example, really, of how the physical parallels the spiritual, as we said. In this way, according to the Chidushei, very interesting book, definitely, he says that the name Shvat is related to the word Shafat. In Hebrew, Shafat is judgment, or Shafet, judge, Shafet, or Shafat, to judge. What is the idea on the spiritual suspense of the whole ear for the capacity of originality in understanding the whole tradition? This parallels the fact that the 15th of Shvat is a new Year's Day fortress when the judgment on the quality and quantity of the next year produce, which is basically divinely ordained. So interesting, as we said, you can see so clearly this idea which compares the physical and the spiritual from this point of view. Now, this idea is in the Kabbalah, in the Zohar, very famous Zohar, relating to the years of Noach. It's written in the portion of Noach that on the 600 years, the Noach was 600 years old, fountains of water were opened up and down. Yeah, so it is up and down. So the Zohar said it represents really wisdom in science, physical and spiritual. Amazing, yeah? Because those fountains down represent the physical and those on top represent definitely the other. So altogether, it shows clearly that on the same time that the physical